to. This is Talk Breakfast with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Mike Graham here in just a few moments with Alex Phillips. First up there, let's talk about the latest, well, this insane wokeness. Helen Joyce joins us. She's the author of Trans, When Ideology Meets Reality. She's also Director of Advocacy at Sex Matters. Good morning to you, Helen.
Hi, Julia.
Oh, where do we start, Helen? Just where do we start?
Every day a new one.
I mean, just mad. The world is mad. Two stories I want to get to. One is the Liberal Democrats have decided to have a debate and a vote on a motion at their party conference next month where they're going to vote on whether menstruation is not just a women's issue. Now, I think we can all agree, husbands and boyfriends listening right now, you're probably aware that in lots of ways periods do affect you as well. Am I right? But I mean, what is the point of this debate?
It's actually a debate about whether we should give out free period products, but they've decided to do a little bit of woke signalling up front by saying this is not just a women's issue because we must be aware that some trans and non-binary people also menstruate. Indeed, the women do. Yeah, as you say, it's a men's issue to the extent that we send them off to get the chocolate and, fill the hot water bottle and such like.
No, mostly shouting, I find.
I don't even agree with the policy because I just think that, if people are poor, then you have to give them some money. You don't give people particular products. It's a recipe for waste and it's a recipe for the producers getting in there and, charging extra prices and trying to get a brand name into toilets where people will just mess them around. It's a stupid policy anyway, but then sticking on top of it this nonsense about how men can menstruate too. No, they can't.
I've had an Ofcom complaint about that when I explained that actually it was only women that menstruate, women and girls, and I had an Ofcom complaint about it. I won it, of course, but I mean, I still have to waste my time dealing with that nonsense. Again, if that's the stuff they're debating, when we are having people struggling, the cost of living, the migrant crisis, NHS in crisis, I mean, everything going on. I mean, frankly, it's just laughable. Let's talk about...
It's silly season. It's silly season instead of conference
Well,
season.
let's talk about something that's definitely not laughable. And these are parents, Will and Maria Taylor, who have removed their daughter from a preschool where she was given a children's book about pride. A, why? B, why does it feature men in bondage gear? She's 4-year-olds in preschool being given a book about pride. I'm not entirely sure whether it's even coming up. It's a book. We've got some images of it called Granddad's Pride. And it's aimed at children. One of the images shows partially naked men in leather bondage gear. Clearly sexualized images. Totally inappropriate, nothing to do with anyone being trans or gay or anything like that, just totally inappropriate images for children to see. And yet, the nursery, when they confronted them, defended these images.
It's this reflex, isn't it, to think that anyone who complains about anything to do with being gay or being trans must be a bigot rather than actually listening to what they're saying.
Yeah.
And the other thing that annoys me about books like this is I regard them actually as homophobic because they're suggesting that gay people are perverts who want to dress inappropriately in public in front of children.
Yes.
And to the extent that they do, will they please stop? But straight people, of course, can do that too.
Exactly.
I really hate this association of public exhibitionism with sexual orientation.
Yeah, these are completely different things, exactly. But also, this couple, they pointed out they've actually, they've gone to pride events. They again, they shouldn't have to justify their views. This is the thing. It is just so inappropriate. And the school, they've defended it now. It is the case that the owners of this school have now removed this book. But this book is available in children's libraries. This book is aimed at children. It is clearly sexualized imagery aimed at preschool children. Whoever thinks that's appropriate, I don't want anywhere near any children.
And they'll have done safeguarding training because everybody working in nurseries does. So I just don't understand how the staff reacted the way they did. It's an obvious safeguarding risk. It is grooming. It is exposing children to sexualised imagery that makes it harder, in fact, to tell if a child has actually been sexually assaulted because they've been sexualised then.
Okay, indeed. Well, look, Genesis Preschool has been contacted for comment, but it is the case that the owners of that school have actually withdrawn that book. Helen Joyce, always so good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. I know the entire audience will be with you on all of this. Mike Graham is here. What's happening on your show?
Very good morning. Well, that's an amazing story, isn't it, this morning, the one you've just been talking about?
I mean, this book's been around for a while,
Who on earth thinks that sexualisation of children is a good idea? Who's coming up with this stuff?
Well,
you do wonder.
Well, let's think. Who does think sexualisation of children is a good idea? Oh, is there a word for those people? We used to have a word for those people.
Yeah, particularly if they then act out what it is they seem to be interested in, and then they find themselves with a criminal record. I find it astonishing that any educational establishment would go, oh yeah, that's fine. So what comes next? Pictures of people having sex, show them that as well. What's going on? It's very weird.
That is what they think.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this whole like glorified drag queen thing, it's just totally inappropriate. The fact that no one thinks this, the highly sexualized, nature of the stuff that's going into our kids, it's just terrifying. What's happening else on
Well,
the show with
also